Hello and welcome to Eden Live, where I'm reading all of Eden by FREI live on Facebook and on YouTube. And of course, these clips then find their way onto Instagram, IGTV. We are in volume 2 of Eden by FREI. Volume 2 is called Heart. And today is the turn of chapter 5. Surrender. There are plenty of reasons to suppose that we should, and should be able to, learn. In every other sphere of life, this seems to work just fine. You burn your hand on the hot handle of the saucepan on the hob. You know better next time. Maybe not next time, but the time after. You wobble on your bike a few yards as a boy with your older brother or your friend or your dad holding on to it, and they shout, "Go!" and faster, and you go faster, and they let go of the bike, and you stay upright, and you have the hang of it, and you can now ride a bike. You may still fall off occasionally, but the principle is down, and you can take that off your list. You practice and practice and practice the piano, and if you have a modicum of talent and a bit of musicality in your ear, you will become passably good at playing. If you have a lot of talent and a great deal of musicality and an abundant love for what you are doing, you may become exceptionally good and turn into a professional musician, a concert pianist. If you're God's gift to improvisational jazz, you may become Keith Jarrett. Languages, mathematics, history, even writing. People even teach writing, which suggests people learn it. Chemistry, not love though. Not the chemistry of love, not the mystery of love, not the vexation of love, not the love of love. Lucas, who's not really called Lucas either. I'm changing his name to, though I doubt he will read this, and if he does, I doubt he will recognise himself, and if he did, I doubt he would mind. Does to me what dozens of men before him have done, never deliberately, hardly ever even aware, most certainly not with any ill intentions. He infatuates me. In him. Is infatuate a transitive verb in a passive sense? If I am now infatuated, that would suggest I have been infatuated, and since I can hardly infatuate myself, unless I sport a substantial streak in narcissism, the person who infatuates should, if logic had anything to do with it, by definition be the infatuator, with the person who's infatuated, the infatuatee. Logic has very little to do with it. Lucas is a little taller than me and a little younger. I've always wanted to be a little taller than I am, although I am not, by averages, short. And while I spent the whole of my teens wanting to be older, and never really in that sense since have wanted to be substantially younger than I actually am, I relate well to people who are a little younger, partly because part of my brain has not really caught up with my actual age, and partly because another part of my brain has always been far ahead. Age doesn't really matter to me, or so I like to believe. Though the seconds ticking away so implacably, 2.5 billion of them, take or give a few, that troubles me. Lucas, and I like the name Lucas, not least because I now associate it with the man I have off the top of my head given it to, is German, though you wouldn't immediately think so. His accent makes him sound more like a Dutchman who spent a lot of time, or a Europeanized American. He and his girlfriend have joined the choir together, and on the first evening of the new term he sits next to me, and I feel like a schoolboy. I feel like the schoolboy precisely who fell in love with Michael when he joined our class, he aged 7, most of us then aged 8. This is ridiculous. I know it is ridiculous, and my young brain infuriates at the idiocy of my heart, while my old brain manages a smile that sits halfway between condescending and indulgent. Of course you are now infatuated, it says my old brain to heart. Worry not. Like all previous infatuations, this one shall pass, and you will laugh about it later. Soon, in fact, because I have so much experience now, so much insight, very nearly wisdom to give you, and to ease the imminent transition from infatuation to friendship, imbued with love of the friendship kind, love that is unentangled, appreciative, mutual, but free. You idiot, says my younger brain, you child, you pubescent teenager, you, at the age of 50, are allowing yourself a crush on somebody who has just introduced you to his girlfriend and who is absolutely certain to fancy you about as much as his grandfather's drinking buddy Ralph. I like the idea of Lucas having a grandfather with a drinking buddy called Ralph, and I feel slightly flattered that I should remind him of him. That's how absurd I am at this moment. There is nothing to be done. When he misses a couple of rehearsals, I miss him. When he returns, my heart leaps. In the break, when he's standing, chatting to his girlfriend, I join them. I make a point of talking to her as much as to him, so she doesn't feel left out, but really, I have only eyes for him. It is totally ridiculous, even pathetic, but thoroughly enjoyable, too. Maybe that's what this is about. Maybe the reason my heart won't learn is not just because it really doesn't have to, and not so much because it can't, but simply because it doesn't actually want to. The pleasure of being a little in love, of being infatuated, of being just a tad drugged by endorphins is just too great to forego forever. And why should it? This doesn't cause any harm. It's not even causing pain, curiously. In the past, it did. In the past, I would get over my infatuation pain. That is no longer the case. Probably because while the heart steadfastly refuses to learn, the head is really quite capable now of putting it all in its place. Also in the choir is another sweet man who is quite a bit younger and quite a bit shorter and maybe also a little bit rounder than me. And he's roundly adorable too. I just want to hug him every time I see him. He reminds me of Paddington Bear. How could you not cuddle Paddington Bear? And until not so long ago, there was a young man who was just very beautiful. Or so I thought. I don't think I ever spoke more than about 3.5 sentences with him. And of course, there was Edward. George looks at me puzzled. I think you should go with the heart, he finally says in a calm, measured tone, looking me straight in the eye. I'm momentarily stumped until, dragged out of my reverie, I remember my question. What does he make of the heart? Really? I surprise myself with my surprise. I mean, I agree with him, but isn't he the one who too often has precisely not done that, and now he's telling me? Yes, He speaks with a slight accent and a tone that makes him sound a little aloof, and a little bemused, and a little detached, and a little curious too. I remember being all of these very well, but I don't remember sounding them. The only times I've ever been unhappy was when I did not follow my heart. You know, you regret things you haven't done, never the things you did. Yes, but you're telling me? If I knew this then, and he's probably right, I knew this then how come I still make exactly the same mistakes? Hannah, did I not just say they're not maybe mistakes at all? They're maybe just my modus operandi? Assuming, George, you could find the ideal partner for yourself, who would that be? Oh, I don't think such a person exists. He doesn't even have to think about it. Why don't you think so? I'm beginning to feel a little inadequate talking to myself, aged 21. Well, because there is no ideal person for anyone. People just accommodate each other and get used to each other's foibles, and when they find somebody who they can bear more than they can bear being alone, they settle with them for as long as that's true, and sometimes quite a bit longer, mainly because they can't be bothered going through the hassle of separation, or because they're comfortable enough, or because they're afraid. And you? No, I'm not afraid. I thought as much, but I need to be sure. Can you bear being alone? I love being on my own. I love being with people, and I love being on my own. I need a lot of time and a lot of space for myself. I function exceptionally well on my own. That is so true. That was true then, that is true now. Thank you, George. I function exceptionally well on my own. Thank you. But does that necessarily mean I couldn't function even better with someone? Ah, here we go again. And that's it for today. Now, this is quite a long chapter, so it turned into quite a long reading, so let's leave it at that. I will see you again next time, whenever that may be. Next time in real time is on Wednesday, that's 2 days from now. Next time in your time, maybe whenever you find this clip and feel inclined to watch another one. Next chapter will be called, or is called, Domesticity. And until then, I wish you a very good time. Do take good care of yourself in these strange days that we live through. Love and let love, and see you very soon. Bye-bye.